Hello everyone, I am Pani from Google Cloud's Apigee. Welcome to the fourth video on 503 Service Unavailable Errors under the Edge Runtime Errors module of the Apigee Troubleshooting series. In this video, I will show you how to troubleshoot and resolve 503 Service Unavailable Errors with the fault code messaging.adapters.http.flow.NoActiveTargets. To be able to follow the troubleshooting information in this video, you should have an Apigee Edge account. If you haven't watched the previous videos in the Edge Runtime Errors module of the Apigee Troubleshooting series, I suggest you to check them out using this link. Here is a sample 503 Service Unavailable Error with the fault code messaging.adapters.http.flow.NoActiveTargets. This typically occurs when target servers are used to configure backend services. Before we dive into troubleshooting this error live, let's learn about the different ways of configuring backend services in the target endpoint configuration in Apigee Edge. The first method is fairly simple, wherein we specify the backend service URL directly in the URL element. Here is an example where we have set the backend service URL as http://demo-target.apg.net/demo-service. Here's another method of defining the target endpoint configuration by using target server. Target server is basically a resource that is defined at the environment level. It will have the backend service host name, port number, flag that indicates secure or non-secure host, and few other fields. In the example, target endpoint configuration shown here, there are two different target servers, target 1 and target 2, and the algorithm is round robin. This means that the API request will be routed to each of these target servers in the same order as listed in the configuration. The max failures element specifies the number of failed requests after which the specific target server will be removed from the rotation. After this point, no more requests will be sent to the specific target server. The health monitor enables Apigee Edge to actively poll the backend services defined in the target servers and check their health. If the backend services don't respond or respond with error response code for these health checks, then it will be treated as a failure and increments the failure count. When the number of failures exceeds the max failures for a target server, the specific target server will be removed from the rotation. Remember, when health monitor is enabled, a failed target server will be automatically put back into rotation as soon as it starts responding successfully to health checks. This happens without having to perform any proxy redeployments. So what are the advantages of using target servers in the target endpoint configuration? First and foremost, it decouples concrete endpoint URLs from target endpoint configurations. That is, you don't have to hardcode the backend service URL in the target endpoint configuration of API proxy. If you need to modify the backend service URL, then all you need to do is update the target server definition. This avoids direct modifications to the API proxy code and subsequent redeployments required to effect the change. It gives the capability to use different target servers in different environments. For example, you can use mocktarget.apg.net in test environment, while you can use demo-target.apg.net in stage environment without having to modify the target endpoint configuration. This can be done simply by specifying the appropriate hosts in the respective target server definitions of each environment. It provides the ability to perform load balancing and failover of requests among multiple target servers. Last but not the least, the health monitor enables Apigee Edge to check the health of the target servers and automatically remove or add the target servers from the rotation depending on their health. I will now demonstrate how to use the target server and health monitor in a target endpoint configuration. I will also cover how to troubleshoot and resolve a live 503 service unavailable error with error code NoActiveTargets. Consider a sample API proxy demo API. This proxy is configured with a target endpoint that uses target server by name demo-target. You can see that the target server demo-target is defined with host alias demo-target.apg.net. It's a secure target server with the standard port 443. Here is the target endpoint configuration in the API proxy. Notice that the next element after the target server is max failures, whose value is set as 5. This means that if there are 5 consecutive failures for the API request from the target server, then the target server will be marked as unhealthy by the load balancer. Further down, the target endpoint is also configured with a health monitor. The health monitor is configured with the properties connect timeout in sec, socket read timeout in sec, and interval in sec. So what is the significance of these properties? The value of connect timeout in sec is 10, which means if the network connection cannot be established with the target server within 10 seconds, then it is considered as a failure by the health monitor. The socket read timeout in sec is set as 30, which means if the target server does not respond to a request within 30 seconds, then it is considered as a failure by the health monitor. The health monitor makes calls to the target server endpoint /health check every 5 seconds indicated by the property interval in sec, and it expects a 200 response. If there is no 200 response, then it is treated as a failure. In this way, the health monitor keeps checking the health status of the target server continuously. If any of these checks fail, then the health monitor increments the failure count. And when the failure count reaches the max failures value, which is 5, the target server is marked as unhealthy. There is only one target server configured in this example API proxy. Once it is marked as unhealthy, any new API request will be responded with 503 service unavailable error with the fault code messaging.adapters.http.flow.NoActiveTargets by Apigee Edge. There won't be any further processing as there are no more target servers. Alright, I will now invoke the demo API proxy. There is a 503 service unavailable error with the error code mentioned earlier, messaging.adapters.http.flow.NoActiveTargets. Let me see to troubleshoot this error. Check the API monitoring dashboard to find out more details about these errors. These failures are listed under the fault code messaging.adapters.http.flow.NoActiveTargets. The fault source is set as target. Check the bottom right corner. We don't see any target server listed here. This is because the Apigee Edge itself is returning 503 with the no active targets error due to no healthy target server currently being available to process the request. Start the UA trace session and make some requests. The UA trace session provides more details about the failures. Notice that the request is not sent to the target server at all. Instead, the Apigee Edge returned a 503 error with the no active targets fault code. At this point, we have been able to find that there are no healthy target servers, and hence Apigee Edge is returning 503 errors with the fault code no active targets. The next step is to identify why the target servers have been marked as unhealthy by the load balancer. If you are a public cloud user, then you can investigate if there are any issues that were explained in the previous 503 service unavailable errors videos. These are there any DNS issues like target server host alias not resolving to a valid IP address? You can use dig or nslookup commands to test this. Are there any network configuration issues or firewall restrictions on your target server? For example, are the IP addresses of Apigee Edge message processors are whitelisted in the network configuration of all the target servers? Is there any issue with the TLS configuration in the target server definition? The TLS handshake failures caused by incorrect TLS configuration also makes the health monitor to mark the target servers as unhealthy and remove from the availability pool. Is the target server process running or not? If you observe any of these issues, you need to fix it appropriately as explained in our previous videos. If you are a private cloud user, you could perform all these checks that we just discussed for the public cloud user. In addition, you could also look at the message processor logs to gather more information and investigate why the target servers have been marked as unhealthy. I will now invoke the same API proxy configured with the same target server demo-target.apg.net in our private cloud environment. You can see 503 errors with the same error code no active targets is occurring in our private cloud environment as well. I will now examine the messages in the message processor log file. The message processor logs will have 3 important categories of messages associated with the no active targets errors. Here you see the first category of messages logged by load balancer indicating that the max failure count has reached for this target server. The second category is the error messages which indicate that the request cannot be processed because there are no healthy target servers available. These error messages contain the message ID associated with the API request, which failed with NoActiveTargets fault code. The third category of error messages are important for us to determine the actual cause. You can see that the health monitor got the error connection refused while connecting to the target server demo-target as part of the health check. Since the connection refused error occurred 5 consecutive times, the load balancer marked the target server as unhealthy. And thereafter, we started getting 503 errors with the error code NoActiveTargets for all subsequent API requests. Now, we will troubleshoot why are we getting connection refused error from the target server. This error typically occurs if the backend server process is down. Let's check if that is the cause of the issue. The backend server in this scenario is an Nginx server. Oh yeah, it's down. Bring the process back online to fix the issue. The target server is up now. Rerun the API calls again. There you go. The API calls are now returning 200 successful responses. Since the health monitor was able to get successful responses from the backend server, it marked the target server as healthy and automatically added it back to the available pool. To summarize, we saw 503 service unavailable error with the error code NoActiveTargets. The issue was resolved by bringing the backend service process back online. Finally, the backend service started responding back with successful responses. The key takeaway point is that we didn't have to redeploy the proxy when the backend service was brought back online. This is because the health monitor manages the load balancer's availability pool of the target servers by using health checks. In this video, you learned how to troubleshoot and resolve a 503 service unavailable error with the fault code messaging.adapters.http.flow.noActiveTargets. Check out the video description for more information on 503 service unavailable errors and relevant troubleshooting playbooks for your easy reference. If you would like to know more about the other possible causes of 503 service unavailable errors, please watch our other videos in this module and subscribe to our channel to be notified on future videos. Thanks, and see you in the next video.